Classwork 15. So the first question is find the domain of the rational function. It's called a rational function because the variable appears in the denominator. In mathematics, the denominator cannot be zero. So find the domain of this function. We just write, we just take the denominator, in this case is x plus 6. We say that cannot be zero. So not equal to zero, not equal to zero. So we slash the equal sign. So this means not equal to zero. X plus 6, not equal to zero. That means x cannot be negative 6. If x is negative 6, it causes 0 in the denominator, which is illegal in mathematics. For this one, the denominator is x minus 3 squared, right? That cannot be 0, which means x minus 3 cannot be 0. So x minus 3 cannot be 0, which means x cannot be 3. So that's the domain. Not equal to, not equal to. All right. So for rational functions, we consider the denominator cannot be 0. Okay, second one, simplify. So when we simplify rational expressions, we need to put them in a factored form. So the numerator can be factored as x minus 5 times x plus 1, right? 2 factors of negative 5 adds up to be negative 4. So that's negative 5 and plus 1. The denominator is x plus 4 times x plus 1, right? 2 factors of 4 adds up to be 5. This is 4 and 1. So the bar division sign here. Now we see x plus 1 is a numerator, is a factor in the numerator. X plus 1 is a factor in the denominator. So x plus 1 divided by x plus 1, that becomes 1. So left with x minus 5 divided by x plus 4. Let's see 3. Total how many? Okay, total 4 questions. 3, we want to perform the operations. In this case, the operation is multiplication. This is subtraction. This is division. This is addition. So with multiplication, also we want to put in a factored form. X plus 1 is numerator, right? Because the denominator is 1. So in the numerator, we have x plus 1 times x plus 2. And the denominator, x squared plus 7x plus 6, can be factored as x plus 1 times x plus 6. Because the factors, 2 factors of 6 adds up to be 7. That have to be 1 and 6. Now we see x plus 1 divided by x plus 1, that becomes 1. So we're left with x plus 2 divided by x plus 6. And they cannot be simplified further anymore. Let's see B. B is a division. So we want to change this division into multiplication. Then we flip the numerator with the denominator. Now x squared plus 5x plus 6 becomes a numerator. X squared minus 1 becomes a denominator. X squared plus x can be factored. So let's factor out the numerator first. So that factor to be x plus 1. Then x squared plus 5x plus 6 can be factored as x plus 2 times x plus 3, right? Because the 2 plus 3 give us the 5x, the middle term. That's the numerator. So numerator will have x squared plus x, factor out to be x times x plus 1. X squared plus 5x plus 6, factor out to be x plus 2 times x plus 3. Now let's factor the denominator. So the denominator, x squared minus 4, difference of 2 squares, x plus 2 Let's do x minus 2 first. X minus 2, x plus 2. Then x squared minus 1, difference of two squares, x plus 1 times x minus 1. And put division sign here. Right, it was division before, we change to multiplication, then we flip the numerator and denominator. The numerator becomes the denominator. The denominator becomes in the numerator. So now we're looking for, you see the numerator is in factored form. The denominator is also in factored form. So we're looking for common factors in the numerator and in the denominator to cancel out. X plus 1, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 2. And that's it. So we're left with, in the numerator, we have x left, we have x plus 3, two factors. In the denominator, we have x minus 2, and then we have x minus 1. So we leave like this. We leave like factored form. We don't have to expand them. That's it. No more common factors. So we're done. C is subtraction. When we subtract two rational expressions, we need a common denominator. We need a common denominator. So the first denominator can be factored out. So 5x minus 25x can be factored out 5. Then we have x minus 5, right? So 5x minus 25 can be factored as 5 times x minus 5. Then we see the second one, the denominator is also x minus 5. Okay, so what's the least common denominator? That's 5 times x minus 5. So we just multiply by 1 for the second one. This one is 5 over 5 to make them have common denominator. Now, once we have a common denominator, we only have to write it once. So we write 5 times x minus 5 in the denominator. In the numerator, we'll have 6x. Let's write everything. Plus 5 minus 5 times x, 5x. Minus 2 times 5, that's minus 10. Okay. Now we combine like terms in the numerator. 6x minus 5x, that's just x. 5 minus 10, that's minus 5. So x minus 5 in the numerator, 5 times x minus 5 in the denominator. Now we have common factors. We have x minus 5 is a factor in the numerator. We have x minus 5 as a factor in the denominator. It becomes 1. So we're left with 1 over 5. So the 5 is in the denominator. X minus 5 divided by x minus 5 is 1. So that becomes 1 over 5. Let's see D. D, we want to factor out y squared minus y minus 6. That's y minus 3 times y plus 2, okay? Then y squared minus 9, that's y plus 3, and the y minus 3, difference of two squares. So the common denominator is y minus 3, y plus 2, and the y plus 3, right? 3 factors, common denominator. Then the numerator, so basically we multiply what's missing in the first one. The first one we're missing y plus 3, right? So we would multiply y plus 3 divides itself. We multiply y plus 3 in the numerator. We multiply y plus 3 in the denominator. Because for expression, we can only multiply by 1. Now 1 is a transformer, is anything divides itself. For the second one, what's missing? We're missing y plus 2. So we just multiply y plus 2 divide in the numerator and in the denominator. Right? Again, it's multiplied by 1, but this one is different from the other one. This one is y plus 2 divides itself. In this case, we have a common denominator, right? And we multiply those two. So the numerator, let's write it once. The numerator we have y plus 3 times 3y minus 2 plus 4y minus 3 times y plus 2. Right? Then the rest is just simplifying. The common denominator doesn't change. So let's simplify the numerators. So y times 3y, we get 3y squared. Right? Then 3 times 3y, 9y. Y times negative 2, negative 2y. So 9y minus 2y, we get a plus 7y. Then 3 times negative 2, negative 6. Then plus 4y times y, 4y squared. Then 4y times 2, 8y. Then negative 3 times y, negative 3y. 8y minus 3y, that's positive 5y. Then negative 3 times 2, that's negative 6. Right, that's in the numerator. If we combine, we see 3y squared. Well, let's do one more step. The denominator is the same, right? Denominator, let me not write the denominator. Let me write it. It's not confusing, right? The denominator is this guy. Okay, we just write this guy here. Now let's keep simplifying the numerator. So the numerator will have 3y squared plus 4y squared is 7y squared. Then y, we have 7y plus 5y, that's 12y. We have negative 6 minus 6, that's minus 12. Right, that's in the numerator. In the denominator, we have y minus 3 times y plus 2 times y plus 3. Can we factor the numerator? If we factor the numerator, can we factor? So 7y squared is only one way to factor, right? 7y times 7y and y. Then it's possible. Let's try here. So 7y and the y, these two multiply to be 7y squared. And negative 12 could be negative 4 and 3, or 2 and 6. Oh, yes, 2 and 6, no, doesn't work. 3 and 4 doesn't work. 2 and 6, 14, no, wouldn't work. Because we need to come up with this 12, positive 12. If we put 2, that's 14 minus 6, no, wouldn't work. That would be 8. Right? You will put a 4 here, that's too big. 12 minus 7, no. Okay, I don't think this is factorable. Okay, that's it. So just leave this in the numerator, then write down the common denominator here. So that should be the answer. Now let's see the last one. So we want to simplify this. So look at the denominator. The denominator we have x, denominator we have x. So what do? This is expression we want to multiply by 1. And this one is x divides x. So we multiply 2 terms in the numerator by x. We multiply 2 terms in the denominator by x. Now, what is the 3 times x? 3x, right? What is the 2 over x? Well, minus sign. 2 over x times x. X cancel with x, so that's 2. 6 times x, 6x. Minus sign. 1 over x times x, just 1. And that's it. Cannot be simplified, right? 3x minus 2 as a factor in the numerator. 6x minus 1 as a factor in the denominator. They don't have a common factors, so we're done.